Hi Internet, Caleb here. This week's video is on what being trans means to me. I'm a trans guy. I identify as trans queer, which means to me that I'm not necessarily your stereotypical manly man, I guess. Um, but also just being queer in general with femme. Femme and fabulous. Hence this entire channel, I guess. um, Being trans to me, I think I was telling Shar the other day, we were walking somewhere, and I said, I don't think, even if I could do it all over and, wave a magic wand and be born in the right body, I don't think I would. And I remember she was just a little bit surprised, and, yeah, it's really expensive to do it this way, and it's really hard on emotions, and it's tough to go through a lot of the problems that trans guys go through, but really, like, it's made me who I am, and I love it. I even the negative stuff, I embrace it because it's just another hurdle to jump through, and it's just another thing that's going to make me stronger as a person. So um yeah, I love being trans. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Similarly with that, being trans to me means being proud. I tell everybody I'm a trans guy. I, you know, Even when I get to the point where I pass 100% of the time, like, I'm always going to be proud of being trans. I'm always going to be proud of the journey that I've been through and the journey that my family members and my spouse have been through, really. Like, to me, it's a discredit to what they've gone through and what I've gone through to dismiss that that's part of my identity and that's part of my journey. So, I mean, being trans means being proud, and it means acknowledging where you came from, being just as important as where you are now. Like, I was born female. I lived as female for 20 years. I identified as a lesbian for a good portion of that time. And, you're never going to take that pride away from me. I was proud to be a lesbian. I was proud when I thought that's who I was. And I still have pride for that. I'm still, even though I'm technically in a technical straight marriage, I'm still a queer. I'm still part of the queer community. I'm still a guy that likes guys. I still date guys. It's whatever. Like, it's always going to be a part. It's always going to be an identifier. It's always going to be a part of me. Being trans to me means being active in the community as a trans person because we're so underrepresented. And especially if you're a trans person that doesn't necessarily fit a stereotype of the gender that you are, it's important, even more important for you to be out in the community, in my opinion, because, you know, just as it was important a while ago for femme queer boys to be out in the community, it's the same with trans guys, especially the femme trans guys, because unfortunately, there's a big stigma in our community that, you have to fit the cookie cutter mold of who you're transitioning, like what side you're transitioning to, I suppose. And that's totally not the case. So being an activist is a big part of being trans for me. But I mean, that stuff aside, even like just some of the things I identify as, like, I was born a little girl, even though I was a little boy, I thought I was a little girl. That's how I lived. I was this little, you know, shrimpy, annoying, percussive, artistic, intelligent, reading kid. I was always reading books. I was a bookworm, still am, you know. Ever since I was like 13 years old, I've always been a little emo kid, I wear that label proudly, long black hair to boot, um, it's, I've always been into, really rad music like that, and like lots of hardcore and alternative music and stuff, and I'm a spouse, and I don't know, I'm a skateboarder, I'm an artist, I'm a zinester, I'm a writer. Being trans means that all of those things are intertwined because, you know, everything I do being a trans person is unfortunately some sort of political statement, and, you know, it's represented in my entire life. It's not just, you know, it's not just when I choose to say I'm trans. It's, you know, everything I write, I'm writing from a trans perspective. Everything I, you know, play on my ukulele or my drum set or whatever, it's, you know, it's played from the perspective, from the shoes that I fill every day. And that's what being trans is. It's about an all-encompassing, empowering feeling that, you know, you were born one way and you decided that wasn't good enough for you, that wasn't who you were, and you went through these huge changes and, you know, emotionally, physically, even if you don't go through them physically or you only go partially or whatever, like, it's still the same. Like, you still have to bind, or you still have to come to terms with the way your body looks and not change it at all or whatever. Like, you still have to go through that. It's from coming at it from that kind of perspective of not being born, you know, into the body you're supposed to be born into. That's a daily struggle, and that's what being trans is. It's about overcoming every single day, you know. As Marilyn Manson said, what doesn't kill you is going to leave a scar, and that's totally true. I recently have 2 very large scars to prove it. Well, they're not large, but, you know, in comparison. And it's true, you know, it couldn't get me down for long enough. I rose above it, I conquered it, and now I've got the scars to prove it, and I'll wear them proudly forever because there's something I had to get through, and there's something that made me who I am. And you know, I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change any of the bad looks on the street, any of the derogatory comments, any of the stupid people on the internet who don't know how to address me properly, any of the people, you know, who view me incorrectly on the street and think it's appropriate to misgender me, anybody like that. I wouldn't trade any of that for the world, because each time somebody does that, it's a chance to educate them so that hopefully they don't do it again, or they at least understand where I'm coming from or whatever. You know, and that's what being trans is to me. So that's that. Um, I look forward to seeing Arya's video on what being trans means to him, and I look forward to hearing what being trans means to you. So go ahead and leave your story in the comments below, or on any of our social networking sites, which are linked on the sidebar of our YouTube channel. And yeah, I hope everybody has a good day.